Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SourceForge podcast. Thank you for joining us today. I'm your host, Beau Hamilton, senior editor and multimedia producer here at SourceForge, the world's most visited software comparison site where B2B software buyers compare and find business software solutions. Today's episode, we'll be talking with Ophir Katzir, founder and CEO of SenseIP, an AI-powered platform designed to radically simplify how inventors and startups manage intellectual property, or IP. And Ophir brings over 2 decades of experience in technology, product leadership, and IP engineering with more than 200 patents under his belt. And now he's channeling that expertise into reimagining intellectual property strategy through the use of artificial intelligence. Now, traditional IP is, it's often expensive, it's very complex, and it just takes a while to get through. And it's oftentimes siloed in these legal processes that carry risk if not done properly. So the solution Ophir came up with, and his team came up with, is the SenseIP platform that leverages AI for just about everything. Everything from the ideation phase to drafting, filings, long-term maintenance, legal issues, and more. And it's just yet another really great use case where AI can be used to simplify complex workflows and reduce costs. But I don't know, it also brings up a lot of big questions I love pondering about around IP ownership and just whether we're headed towards a future where maybe an AI could be a patent holder itself. So a lot of big questions. We've got a lot to talk about. So let me just bring in Ophir. Ophir, welcome to the podcast. Glad you could join us.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Now, I just want to get right into it. Can you give us your overview of SenseIP and just talk about maybe some of the challenges inventors face in the traditional IP landscape that you're really trying to solve and alleviate?
Oh, sure thing. So when we started with SenseIP, our target was to try and make sense of the IP process. We suffered through that, and we talked to a lot of other entrepreneurs and tech people that they all felt that IP, intellectual property, and patents specifically are very important. That's the crown jewel of the organization. But it's tedious, it's expensive, it's time consuming. So let's wait with that, right? And that approach of it's something that important, but I'll let someone else, third-party patent attorney, handle it, means you don't manage that in the way that you manage every other aspect of your business. Worse than that, you don't really know what's the business benefits of the intellectual property that you have. So when we started SenseIP, that was our goal, to try and make sense of it, to try and correlate between the business strategy and the IP strategy, to be able to, if you will, automatically control your intellectual property without external help and do that in a more efficient, smart, insightful way that will actually bring you business value, unlike today. Over time, we realized that this is not enough, that we cannot just manage existing portfolio. We need to go to the source, to the inception point of the idea and start tackling it there, because people will always try to delay that phase. And this is a source of a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, that seems like it just seems like AI is a perfect use case for this area, right? I mean, so often we hear about all these different efficiency gains AI can be used for, but when the more I started researching kind of all the steps and processes involved with patenting an idea and just the intellectual property space, it gets very, very convoluted and complex, and there's a lot of stages where I think automation could really be handy, right? And obviously we're going to talk about some of the kind of things to watch out for and kind of proceed with caution around some things like security and privacy. But I think for a lot of the processes we'll get into, they can definitely be automated and help kind of sped things up.
Oh, you're 100% right. One of the problems with the traditional IP approach is that even a very, very efficient and really smart intellectual property attorney or agent, they don't have the capacity to do everything needed nowadays in order to really secure IP. Even the basic things like search for prior arts. So when you come with an invention and you want to secure that as a patent, you actually need to check two things before moving ahead and drafting the application. You need to check that it's indeed unique, right? If it's not unique, if it doesn't have what's called inventive step, you won't be able to protect it. But there's even something more important than that, which is to ensure that you have freedom to operate. Because let's assume that you don't have anything unique about your invention. Still, it's a valid invention. If you can find the right tools to market that, you'll be successful. True, you don't have them all. You won't be able to protect yourself against others, but you will be able to, you will have a fighting chance commercially to try and get that to the right audience. However, if you develop something without freedom to operate, which means you are basically infringing someone else's IP, you are in a legal issue. That's a problem that won't go away. And this is a major pain. Now, historically, to overcome those problems, both check the uniqueness as well as the freedom to operate, what's called FTO, you would go to a patent attorney. Even the most skilled ones will basically need now to conduct a search. After he spends time to understand all the aspects of your idea, he will now need to search across the entire patent corpus, and not just that, any potential public information out there, and see if there are some elements that are similar to yours. You'll also need to check if a combination of previously disclosed elements might add up to what you came up with, or is there inventive step. Just think about someone that needs to run such a search and run through tens of thousands, not more, of patent application. Each with hundreds of pages and drawings and complex technical aspects. Even the most capable person will not be able to do that. We got used to partial solutions. Yeah, I will have a landscaping, a quick search just to see what's around, and I'll get that from my attorneys, and now I need to read through all these patents that they figure out and see if that fits or not. It's not a viable solution. AI definitely addresses that. With the right AI tools, you can run these searches in a smart way after extracting the unique essence of the invention and do that comparison in real time in a way that was never available before. This changes everything.
Yeah, that's, I just think of obviously the complexity involved there, trying to search through all these kind of databases to look for past, patents and whether or not these ideas have already been out there and executed before. But also you just think of, an attorney is starting the clock and he's billing you every hour he's working, and it just, the cost just spirals as the time, goes on, and it is required to get this executed. So, obviously the complexity, you tackle the complexity, but you also tackle along with that the cost associated with doing this.
Oh, definitely. The traditional business model of lawyers in general, not just IP lawyers, is billable hours. And obviously this is not something that works for the benefit of the customer, especially that you don't have any way to predict what will it cost to actually achieve the patent eventually. So maybe you were able to come to an agreement with your attorney about what will be the cost of drafting the application. But you should remember that 2+ years from now, when the examiner at the patent office will start examining this application, he will start sending office actions, rejections, and your patent attorney will need to review them and spend more time to understand how to respond to them. And this is, more billable hours. So the lack of visibility to that process, the ambiguousness of, hey, that is going to be expensive, it will take years, it's something that makes a lot of people to delay the decision to start it. And we found that a delayed start for the IP process, or in better terms, the ideation process, that delayed start is the source of all evil. And that's what we are trying to tackle now with our platform.
Yeah, because in the simplest way, it's just keeping these possibly revolutionary ideas, these good ideas from actually hitting the marketplace and being used. So yeah, it's not good for anybody.
I'm sure that most of your listeners and viewers had at least one idea during their lifetime. Many of them had way more than one, and I can guarantee that some of those ideas are amazing ideas. But to come over the first obstacle of what do I do with that idea? Well, now before SenseIP, you would either go to a patent attorney and then the time is ticking, I need to start paying, or you will conduct your own search, which will probably be a little bit of a letdown and will delay you, or you will stop the whole project. What I am really proud of what the team at SenseIP created is that we lowered the threshold, we lowered the bar of entering the game of innovation. Everybody with an idea, even if it's a raw idea that you can boil down to one sentence, it's a good enough start, and in a matter of minutes, you'll know exactly where you stand, what's unique about that idea, and if you want, with a single click, you can protect it right then and there and end up with a patent pending in a matter of minutes. This changes the whole game. First of all, it's democratizing the innovation world, and it allows way more people around the world with no need for prerequisites or law background or anything. They can start innovating things, and maybe the next big thing will come from one of these ideas. The more people will put into that funnel, we'll have better ideas, better products, better life.
Yeah, can you elaborate on just how the SenseIP platform is able to conduct these tasks like prior art searches and the freedom to operate analysis for users? Like, how kind of maybe walk us through kind of a abbreviated version of it?
Of course. So in the background, we maintain our own database of patent applications from all around the world, and this is updated daily. And we include our own special sauce on how we index them and how we embed the data there for better, vector comparison with AI later on. Now, the process itself from the end user is very simple. You can go to our public website and without even sign up, just share your idea with our chat agent. We call it Leo. And this idea, as I mentioned, can be a one sentence, full paragraph, or it can be a full research document if you have one. We take whatever you get. Now, Leo's job is to try and extract what are the concepts behind that idea. What are the core elements of your innovation? The more data you provided, it will be easier for Leo. It will just extract that from the data provided. But if not, it will actually guide you through this process. We will ask you simple questions, and it will keep diving into the technical aspect until he gets all the information needed. At this stage, which again can take merely minutes, you will get a high-level assessment of, is that something patentable? And if so, you can log into our platform and actually start working on that idea. Now, we'll start actually doing a comparison to everything else out there. So with our database and with our own special sauce of embedding, for each and every one of your concepts that Leo extracted, it will go ahead and search for segments on previous prior arts, whether these are patents or not, that are very similar. So for example, it will tell you, hey, your concept number 3, here's a paragraph from a Japanese patent from 20 years ago. Obviously in English, right? But we believe that these are very similar. Now, please do explain how you differ from that, or try to overcome that by modifying your concept or adding sub-concept, or try to find something unique about it. This iterative process of going through your concepts and trying to see which of them is unique or what combination of them unique ensures not only that you do have something unique, you also get that freedom to operate certificate, if you will. And also you gain some competitive insights. You know who are the top technologies and players that have something in that field. So you gain a lot of insights without knowing anything about the patent process, just by walking with that Leo agent, AI agent that we created. Once you're satisfied with the results, once we found the essence that is the minimum combination of uniqueness, it will ask you, hey, do you want to protect it now? And if you say yes, Leo will go ahead and generate a provisional patent application, which you can review. It takes less than a minute. and with a single click, it's going to get filed and your patent pending. So we try to make sure that the process is very simple, seamless, and fun. What we didn't know when we began, that a lot of people that came with the goal to protect with a patent started using the platform to analyze their ideas, regardless of the result. We see more and more people that just share their idea with the platform, realize that, okay, this is dead end in terms of uniqueness or novelty. So let's drop this with the next one. And the process is fun, unlike like never before. So we're really proud of that.
Yeah, I like it. Just sounds so easy to kind of get started and start patenting ideas, which I never thought was would be possible. You know, it just seemed like because like you said, everyone has ideas, right? We all, it's just a fun way to, when you're around a table, dinner table or something, talk about these fun ideas you have. But that's usually where it stops, because it requires so much work to actually complete, follow through, check to see if this idea has been done before, et cetera, et cetera. But it seems like this AI assistant Leo that you have, first of all, it's not just some chatbot that kind of points you in the certain directions for FAQ sheets or something. It actually does a lot of the heavy lifting and work. But it just makes the process so much easier. One thing I do want to ask you about, though, is the privacy aspect, because, when you're dealing with intellectual property and potential $1 million plus inventions, I can just see where people might get a little skeptical to share ideas with an AI assistant, right? What privacy and security practices do you follow just to help put users at ease?
So there are a few different levels when talking about security. First of all, and probably the one that people are to some extent aware of, but not really thinking all the way through, is how is the LLM, the AI, basically trained? Now, if you go to commercial AI solutions like GPT, for example, the data, your prompt, whatever you are asking, will definitely be used to train the LLM. That's a problem. In our case, we guarantee that we never use user input as training data. We only use published patent information, both the patents themselves as well as the prosecution, the examination process. This is the only source for training for us, and that's a guarantee that is signed as part of the EULA. Let's talk about where do we store the information. So we extensively use AWS platform, and all the personal data is stored there in a basically dedicated, secured silo for each and every one of our customers. There's no way to go from one to the other. The third layer is in-transit security. Now, here's a common mistake that people are not aware of. When you're sharing emails with your patent attorneys, that email is not really secured. I mean, we know what's the email security. So the likelihood of you dropping important pieces of security as part of your regular communication doesn't exist in our platform, because the communication is also encrypted and secured as well. So I feel very comfortable stating that this is the safest way to share ideas and to go all the way through protecting them.
That's good. Okay, that's good. I think that puts some of my concerns and users listening their concerns at ease too, because it's just, I think it's a fair question you got to ask these days, because I think a lot of us read some of the kind of doom and gloom headlines about prompts kind of being exposed in the open internet and all these different sort of prompt injection attacks and whatnot. And I think you definitely need to have a robust security and privacy policy with when you're dealing with patents and possible inventions.
You are 100% right. There is one more interesting aspect about AI, which everyone is talking about, which is the hallucinations, right? Everyone is afraid of, what if the AI will invent something that doesn't exist? Well, actually, in our use case, we leverage those hallucinations where it's beneficial. So when we extract the essence of your innovation, We share that with you step by step. There's no room for mistakes there. And you can verify with each and every step that we haven't missed the mark. But part of the process of actually drafting the application, we do add use cases. We try to enrich the patent application as much as possible, not just to limit that to the use cases that the inventor came up with, but try to expand the thinking process into different verticals altogether, which is very important. Now, here, hallucinations by the LLM can actually benefit us because, well, it might come up with a very bizarre use case that you didn't think of as an inventor, but it's valid. So if it's another example, why not? And from our experience, we already saw quite a lot of inventors that as part of the process, they realize that there are more use cases to their invention than they thought to begin with. So it's their invention. The AI is not the inventor here, but he may come every now and then with implementation direction that you didn't think about.
Yeah, I never thought that hallucinations would possibly be a helpful or a good thing, but I think in this particular instance, it is. I can see the utility there. I mean, if you're kind of in the brainstorming phase, right, you're trying to figure out whether or not something will work or not. Yeah, I could see how something that is suggested that might be a little bit out there could actually help you kind of get the brain juices flowing and kind of help refine a product, right? Now, okay, so you guys have been around. SenseIP has been around since 2020, I believe, right? So we're looking at about 5 years, and I imagine since then when you first started, you probably didn't have the Leo chatbot live and ready to go just yet. And I imagine your company has evolved over the last 5 years, adding all sorts of different features and capabilities. So can you talk about that? Can you talk about how you have evolved since your inception starting point in 2020 to where you are now, and what kind of features you've implemented?
Of course. So at the beginning, as I mentioned before, our goal was to try and help the business organization manage its IP portfolio with business insights and make business sense out of the IP. From our own experience, we knew that managing IP is a hard, frustrating process. Of course, a lot of admin tasks. And we wanted to, first of all, automate that so that whoever manages the IP portfolio in the organization will have the time to deal with the strategy, with a bigger, clearer business picture. That's how we started. And as I mentioned, over the last 2 years, we realized that we don't just want to manage existing portfolio, which is good for the larger corporates. We definitely do that. But we want to help at the early stages of inception of the ideas. Because what we realize is a lot of organizations that we worked with already had a lot of flaws and problems with their IP portfolio because they came to us after 7, 10, 20 years in business where there's so many issues with their IP and no business insight at all. So we figure out that there's an opportunity, especially with Gen AI and introducing an agentic AI like Leo. It will be a great opportunity to not only start at the right time at the product life cycle, but also address a bigger community, which is not just existing companies with R&D and IT portfolio, but also individuals, inventors, entrepreneurs, early stage startups, people that normally wouldn't have the time or resources to go for IP protection, but they definitely need such a solution as a first step. And what we recently, and by recently I mean over the last 6 plus months, realized is that looking at our solution as just protecting IP is wrong. I mean, yeah, IP is a byproduct and we definitely help you manage that, but it's all about ideation. It's all about taking your idea and analyzing that, whether you're an individual or part of a development team. As soon as you have that idea, go ahead and analyze that. Don't wait for anything. Before you talk to others, have that analyzed. If it's a good idea, great. You'll get it protected in minutes. You'll have better clarity of your idea, and then you can start sharing that. Do that before you spend time on R&D, and you'll save yourself from a lot of grief and headache later on once you might have realized that you don't have the freedom to operate or you're developing something that someone else is already doing. So that approach changes everything. And we see now that a lot of our customers use the platform as day zero of the product lifecycle, just to analyze the idea. Moving forward, we want to leverage that. So yeah, you decided that your idea is great. You want to protect it. Patent is one way. We are expanding into more ways, like, for example, trade secrets. Trade secrets are completely not managed today. I mean, everybody knows the urban myth about Coca-Cola, that their secret formula is somewhere in a safe in Switzerland. And that's basically the textbook examples of trade secret. Trade secret is as good as the way you save it. A lot of early stage companies say, we have trade secrets, but they don't do anything to identify that or secure that. With our platform, there's something that we're getting into, and all of a sudden you will be able to do so, even if you don't want to go down the path of formal patent applications, which might be a bit more expensive.
Right. That's fascinating. I want to ask you more about the trade secrets path. But I want to quickly just ask, I know in my introduction, I mentioned you have over 200 patents under your belt.
More than 300. Yeah. Well, I'm a big believer in eating our own dog food. So many ideas and applications of ourselves we filed through our own platform. So never keep expanding.
Well, I was going to ask, how many have been filed under your platform using your platform?
So, well, it's been available only for the last year and a half, a few dozens. Well, one of the reasons I really take pride of this platform is that I'm one, and I know that there are so many out there that are just like me, that since birth they had always ideas, and they always have drawings of machines or things that they think about. And every few weeks or months, you hear in the news about something that you thought about 3 years ago. You go to your wife or spouse and tell her, "Hey, you remember talking about that? It just became a product." And she will tell me, "Great, genius. What did you do with it?" So that remorse, that FOMO, won't exist anymore. So not only as an individual, I use the platform quite a few times. As a company, we use that to secure our own IP.
Okay, so you got both use cases there. Fascinating. Yeah. Well, hey, I mean, one of my favorite shows is Shark Tank. So just being able to sit down and look at all the different ideas, I think it's a lot of fun, and just seeing all the different areas to invest in. Now, I imagine you've been in business for some 5 years. You've had this platform with specific capabilities for, you said, a year and a half or so. Do you have any specific examples or maybe success stories that come to mind where your platform has helped inventors or organizations just secure their IP more efficiently?
Oh, definitely. So, for example, one of our investors actually introduced us to a inventor that they were thinking about investing in. Now, this inventor came to us and said, "I have a few ideas. Can we try the platform?" So, in a matter of a day, he secured, I think, 2 provisional patent applications. And he loved the process, so he gathered up his team and said, for the next 2 weeks, everyone go to the platform, share your ideas, let's protect that. They secured something like 20 provisional patents in less than 2 weeks. Just that by itself, by the way, is a very impressive slide on an investor's deck to show that, hey, I have so many provisionals. A year later, when times come to convert the provisional to non-provisional, a process that usually takes months for each and every application and costs you thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars, with a single click, they were able to convert all of them to non-provisionals. And the CEO, this entrepreneur said, "I never thought that a process like that can exist. It was so easy, so fun. And I got funding because of it." I have many examples where people came with one idea. They realized it's not a good one. So they kept using the system to run more and more ideas till they found something that they liked, that was unique, secured that, and started a company. We have several companies that started, basically incubated within our platform. Some examples are small organizations that started with us just to test if you will, test the ground of how fast and easy it will be to secure provisional. And they ended up abandoning their patent attorneys altogether and just using the platform for everything IP. So we see more and more such cases, and we are not doing good enough a job to document them in our website, but hopefully over time we'll be able to see more and more about it.
Oh, this is great. Just listening to you share the success stories, and I think it's revealing. And I get maybe patent attorneys listening right now are maybe getting a little nervous too. They're like, I mean, that's the thing. They're probably always. It's not even like a job security issue. It's just like they're only able to get to so many clients and help so many people, right? They're probably just backlogged, just like so many other people are.
Listen, I think that there's room for everyone, right? I'm not in a quest to get rid of patent attorneys. I think that there's definitely a lot of work that they can do. There are areas that they can contribute a lot, but sometimes it doesn't make economical sense for them to go through that process of disclosure, of extracting the information, of that very intimate discussion with the inventor at the sanctity of his own computer. They cannot afford that. They cannot do that in a way that will make sense, economically wise, and the results doesn't reflect that. So solutions like ours can definitely bridge that gap. And eventually, my concern is about the end user, about the inventor, not about the IP experts, attorneys, and agents. I'm not concerned about them. They have enough going for them.
Well, and then, yeah, just generally speaking, it's not your necessarily like concern about the ramifications of your kind of idea and product, right? It's the market kind of has to figure it out. You have to be concerned with just executing your vision well. And if it's received well, then you obviously have a good process. If it's not, then it's
not only that, we are trying to look at the greater good, right? I mean, obviously, my investors want me to be successful and get them more revenues, but we want to leave a positive impact on the world. And if we look at the IP world in the last 20, 30 years, we see that we are in a bad place. I mean, patents are expensive, their value is questionable. The big corporates will spend millions on IP, so the simple inventor doesn't have a fighting chance. We want to change that. I mean, we got to a situation that is not working, is misfunctioning. We're going to fix it, and we offer a complete different approach that we believe will encourage innovation. That's our goal, to make the world a better place with better products, better ideas, and hopefully the manufacturing will catch up and will allow those ideas to materialize even faster.
I love it. Yeah, democratizing patents and generating better ideas for all, being able to generate better ideas. I think because, yeah, it just makes me think, your last comment there made me think of some of these big corporations kind of make it's a business model, right, for them to just patent as much as they can. And then you also have the patent trolls that go around and kind of torment organizations because they own certain rights to certain ideas.
Oh yeah, no one like patent trolls, and obviously I don't have a lot of kind things to say about them. There's one thing to remember though about them. If I am an individual inventor and I have a really strong patent, and I know that I have a case, say, against certain company, I won't give any names, but one of the companies that have a beefy patent portfolio, I know that if I will drag them to court, it will cost me dearly. So even if I do want to go down this path and I will find somehow funding for that experience, it will take years until I'll get something out of it. My only other way to handle it these days will be to sell my idea, my IP, to a NP, non-practicing entity, or basically patent troll. I'll get something and he will try to gain some revenues out of it. So It's not ideal, but that's what we left out because these big companies are not going necessarily for quality, but quantity. We believe that a different approach will change that. And an important thing to remember is that the patent system as we know it today is part of the American Revolution. I mean, before that, the ancient sort of a patent systems back in back in Europe before the American Revolution were all about if you're close to the government, to the king or ruler, you will gain some protection. Our forefathers were smart enough to come up with a democratized system that not only will give you protection, but in return will ask you to share the details of your invention so that others can learn from it and do things better. With the amount of data out there these days in a patent, there's no way a single person can actually use the system to learn from it. Comes AI to the picture. Now we can actually keep that dream alive, that ancient dream of democratizing the patents. Now we have the tools in our platform that will help you learn from your ancestor, from previous patents and previous knowledge that already exists. And not only it will make your product more unique, it will make it better because you can learn from past experiences.
I love that. I think that's great. Yeah, just bring the tools to more people and lower that learning curve and all the complexity with it. I think that's huge. I want to talk about the kind of the future and where this is all going. Because when I think about the future specifically around AI in this space, first of all, I start thinking about the very real possibility that we'll see AGI or artificial general intelligence within the next maybe handful of years even. And basically for listeners, that's a form of AI, artificial intelligence, where an AI system can itself can be can sort of perform an intellectual task that a human can, and it would be able to adapt and learn autonomously. And currently, AI-assisted inventions can be patented, but humans must make a significant contribution, and AI systems themselves can't be named as inventors. But do you see this changing? Do you see like a future where an AI system itself could be named as an inventor on the actual patent application, or is that just sci-fi nonsense that will never happen?
Well, let's start with the fact that I will never try to be very deterministic about what the future will not be. That's too much of a risk for me to try and estimate that. It does make sense with the current progress of AI that at one point we might be at a situation where the AI is, if you will, smart enough to actually invent things and not just an accidental addition of elements, which might be the case today. Once we'll get to that, well, I can tell you that the patent offices all around the world are already debating, both in the patent offices as well as different courts, how to address that, how to maybe provide intellectual property protection to AI. And actually, it goes not just around patents, but other aspects, like, for example, copyrights. If a AI generated a picture, can that be copyrighted? So there's a lot of debates around that, and this is something that I am quite sure that the closer we'll get to a point where the AI is smart enough and more dominant in actually inventing by itself, we will see more heated debates about that and maybe a decision, which, by the way, is eventually, because the patent system is governed by rules, it's a governmental decision or federal decision, what should be the inventorship. So we're not there just yet, but there's a lot of debates around that. I probably, my personal thought process here is that we still have many years to prove that as humankind, we have the upper hand in innovation and in ingenuity. Let's use this.
Yeah, that's it's interesting to think about. I think the copyright stuff you mentioned around AI is definitely something to. I think the most pressing kind of issue, and it's going to be the most telling, I think, with any sort of the big rulings that are upcoming, because obviously it has big potential to kind of send shockwaves throughout the industry. So many of these AI large language models were trained on data that they didn't have access, they didn't have permission to access and train on. So if there's a ruling that kind of rules that these AIs were violating copyright, I mean, it could kind of squash some of the innovation, or at least that's the claim, and some of these tools and use cases. But I also know that, on the flip side, in terms of actually patenting ideas and being able to, judges ruling, I just feel like laws take so many years to change, right? So I think there's a lot of what ifs. If there was an AI if AI does reach that sort of almost sentient sort of being or level, and is able to actually generate ideas for itself, that's one thing. But then having to change the laws to award an AI as a patent holder, I think is a whole nother thing. And yeah, I think there's still a ways away, right?
Oh yeah, and you're right to be a bit hesitant there. There's a lot of aspects, some of them you mentioned, that will play into effect. For example, if AI actually infringe someone else's patent, I mean, it's definitely possible even today. I believe that the solution is always try to be as informative as possible. Try to have the data. Try to know what you're dealing with, whether you are using AI tools that will check it for you, or you go buy a product yourself. And one of the goals that we set at SenseIP to begin with is give you the power of knowledge, letting you know where you're at. And knowing that as soon as possible in the process will help you avoid so many obstacles and errors and issues that you might do. We spend a lot of effort in teaching our system to overcome some of these issues and to come up with solutions. It's possible, and as the AI keeps getting stronger, we'll need to keep catching up and ensure that we are ahead of that. And I believe that anyone else that wants to be part of the innovation game will also need to take those aspects into consideration, whether this is a person or a AI system.
Now, is there an emerging trend that you think will have a big impact on your industry in the next 5 years that maybe we haven't talked about yet? Obviously, we're in this AI era. We have generative AI it's being adopted quite heavily, quite widely now. We have these agentic AI capabilities kind of now just starting to really roll out amongst some of the companies out there. What's next? Is there anything that you're keeping an eye on that you think will really have a big impact?
Well, first of all, we can already see in the patent applications a lot of applications that are software-based patents that talks about AI and agentic AI specifically. It's, every few years there's a new trend and buzzwords. You can see them both on VC slide decks, investor slide decks, as well as in patents. The one thing that I'm looking eye on is the overall process of software-related patents. Ever since the 2011, roughly, when there were a few Supreme Court decisions in case of Alice, May, etc., the whole question of what is an abstract idea and how software comes into picture in terms of patent became a debatable subject. In 2019, the Patent Office in the US decided to come up with an instruction of how to handle examination of basically abstract idea and software-related ideas. And to some extent, that opened the floodgates a little bit after they were closed for a few years. But what I see nowadays is that people that come up with software-related ideas are sometimes a bit hesitant with patents because of few elements. First of all, they tend to say that, we don't necessarily need to protect our software with patents because no one knows what we did in the implementation, so they won't be able to enforce it. This is a complete mistake, right? I mean, in case of a problem of potential infringement, during e-discovery, people will know exactly what you did. So that's a really bad strategy. The other thing that I hear is the patent system doesn't move fast enough for software because dependency nowadays in the patent office, the time it takes from the filing of a patent until it starts being examined is roughly 2.5 years. By that time, the technology that you filed 2.5 years ago might not be as relevant as you think. Well, to answer that, I would say, while that might be right, those patents still are valid. The process of checking that you have the freedom to operate and protecting it is definitely valid. And one more element is, how do we respond with IP protection to something that is way more fast-pacing than the patent office? This is something that I'm looking into. And as a company, we're trying also to find a definitely different, unique approach to handling that as well.
It's really interesting. Yeah, I remember you mentioned also the fact that you're working on trade secrets is kind of the next big sort of evolution of the platform, and trying to handle everything involved with that. Is that something that you're going to start kind of working on as soon as this year? Do you already have you already started working on it?
This will be available later this year, and our goal again is to help you as an inventor, whether you are an individual entrepreneur or working in a small team, startup, or even a big corporate. If you started an idea, we want to make sure that we provide you as many tools as possible to make this dream, that idea, successful. It starts by the right analysis, giving you the map of what are the mines and obstacles in front of you, helping you to overcome them or even utilize them so that it will be used as shortcuts. But then move ahead to, how do I protect you? How can we as a company give you the right tool? And by tool, I mean, how do we protect that with the best combination of cost to performance? Sometimes it will be patent. Sometimes a trade secret will be a better approach. Sometimes exposing portions of your idea in a public setup will block others from protecting that with IP. And this is good enough for you. We want to make sure that we have that flexibility to be not just the smartest platform out there to support you, but the most efficient in terms of cost. We already were able to dramatically reduce the cost of being an inventor and protecting yourself with IP. Our prices are less than 20% of the cost of a patent attorney. But we want to do even better. We want to make sure that everyone is welcome and everybody can find the right tools as part of our platform to move ahead and be successful.
That's great. I think you have a great kind of mission statement there, and just so many exciting features in your platform. I really do want to actually sit down and start to kind of see what it looks like visually and play around with it, and start messaging Leo and the chatbot. And
I would love that. That's what we're looking for, to get people excited again about innovation. I mean, in our view, as the world gets more and more crazy and more unknowns are out there, the one beacon of light for us is innovation, is, literally the light bulb effect, putting a light out there, making sure that people share their ideas. Something good can come out of it. Why do you hesitate? Just go ahead. It's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. I think that's a great note to end on. You had that light bulb idea in years past to start this platform, and now you're giving other people the ability to start their own business and patent their ideas. I think it's great. Now, you obviously shared so many insights, and I think a lot of people at this point are curious about how they can actually get involved, get in touch with your team, and learn more, and ultimately sign up to the platform. So where should you send them? Where can people go to get started?
SenseIP.ai. That's it. Everything is there. You can actually start experiencing a chat with Leo without any sign up, without providing any personal information. If you're happy with the first quick analysis, with your first interaction with Leo, with a single click, you'll go to the sign up process. Again, no money, no credit cards. You will be able to actually save your ideas and go ahead to further deep analysis and protection. For that, you will need to select either a subscription or one-off payment for a process, but very easy, very simple. And if you have any questions, you can contact our team through the website for our support in the website. We'll be more than happy to accommodate anyone with great ideas.
Excellent. All right. That's SenseIP.ai. If you're interested, go visit that website and learn more. And we should have links down below in the description and over on SourceForge, the SourceForge article. But Ophir, thank you so much for sharing everything that you shared with us. I think it's just really interesting to learn more about everything you're doing to democratize this patent IP industry for people. And I think you're doing a lot of good work. So I'm excited to learn more, play around with it myself, and hopefully we can have you back one of these days to just talk more updates and just talk about the current state of AI, because it's constantly changing and constantly just crazy, right?
Exciting.
So I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening to the SourceForge podcast. I'm your host, Beau Hamilton. Make sure to subscribe to stay up to date with all of our upcoming B2B software related podcasts. I will talk to you in the next one.